Welcome, everyone. I would like to call this meeting of the First Nations Relations Committee for June 4th, 2025 to order. And welcome to the directors here in the boardroom and those online. We have confirmed that we have a quorum. And I would like to acknowledge that we are located today on the traditional territory of the Lekwaltok people. And I want to acknowledge as well that the Strathcona Regional District administrative area is located in Coast Salish, Kwakwaka'wakw, and New Chalmouth territories. And the first item on the agenda today is adoption of the public agenda.
Move adoption.
Move adoption.
Thank you. I'll take that as a moved by Vinesh, seconded by Davis. And is there any comments or anything needed to be added, or we'll just vote on adoption? All in favor? Any opposed? Great. We do not have any petitions or delegations today, so the next item will be adoption of the previous meeting minutes. Can I have a motion for adoption?
Adoption.
Second.
Thank you, Director Vinesh and Director Davis. Just in case you can't see the boardroom, I will let you know that there is one other director at the table in person, so that's Director Dahl. So we've moved adoption. Is there any opposed? Seeing none. We'll move on to business arising from the minutes. Does anybody have any items arising from the previous minutes? Seeing none. The first staff report is called the Reconciliation Framework. Can I have a motion for receipt, please?
Move receipt.
Thank you. Second? Anyone?
Second.
Thank you, Director Davis.
And Madam Chair, as Lee will speak to this.
Great.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, directors. This is an update today on where we are at with phase one of the reconciliation framework. As you know, this work connects directly to the TRC calls to action, DRIPA and UNDRIP. The consultants were able to complete the internal readiness report, including interviews with SRD staff and members of this committee, which gives us a solid foundation to build on. The draft readiness report is attached in your information kit or to the staff report. While the consultants wrapped up earlier than expected, and we had some internal staff turnover, the remaining pieces are all about direct engagement with First Nations, which is really the most critical phase. This includes reaching out to the nations, understanding their priorities, protocols, and interests in how they want to participate and potentially co-develop the framework with us. The good news is we have the resources in place, we have momentum, and we have a clear path forward. We are positioned to move into these conversations with the nations and continue advancing this work together. On that note, unless this committee has other direction, staff will keep moving this work ahead and bring updates back to you as we proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Esley. Are there any questions from the directors? Director Vinesh.
Thank you. Just curious on what the key deliverables that we're not able to get finished that we were hoping to be done in this first phase.
I will answer that, Chair. It is mainly so we are yet, Director Vinesh, to develop an engagement process and complete outreach to First Nations to identify early partners. Another key deliverable is determine if establishing a working group is preferred by the First Nation partners. If yes, outline roles and protocols. One of the proposed items that we would perform is plan and host an engagement event and report back on the progress to continue the co-creation of the framework. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions? Director Davis.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Just further to that, has there been any work done so far on establishing a working group? Has that outreach begun, or is this just the next step?
I would say that is a next step. We have done outreach in the preliminary work, reaching out to the nations. We did have some face-to-face meetings with the We Become, and we let them know that we were working on the framework. They seemed highly interested and that we would follow up. As I said, we've reached out to all 12 nations to let them know that we are working on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions or comments? Seeing none, we will vote on receipt. All in favor of receipt? And any opposed? Seeing none, receipt carried. Item 2, geographical naming proposal, Murderers Bar. Take a motion for receipt.
Move receipt.
Second.
Thank you, Director Vanesh and Director Davis.
So, Madam Chair, this was a referral from the board on to discuss the geographical naming proposal, and staff have brought it forward with, not much background other than the information was provided for the board and then on to the committee for discussion.
Are there any questions or comments from the directors? Director Davis, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks again, Chair. I'm just wondering, I'm just looking at this. Are they looking for us to write a letter of support, or is this for information only?
If my memory serves me correct, we had some correspondence, and I think they were looking for comments on the name change, and we may have had some recommendations at the board, but there wasn't a motion that passed to support corresponding with a name change or a view from the board.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see any specific requests here, so I don't see any follow-up necessary on our part unless anybody else has an opinion regarding that.
So again, the position, the letter from the province was that there was a name change from Murderers Bar to Warriors Bar, and then there was a motion whether the board supported that, and the board did not. So I don't know if that's characterized as a request or not, but we did not endorse the name change. The board didn't.
Okay, so we're effectively neutral on this.
I see your hand, Director Dahl, but I see that Director Vanesh has his hand up first, so I will go to Director Vanesh and then to Director Dahl. Go ahead, Director Vanesh.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, it seemed like in our original discussion around it, things got kind of really heated with maybe not a full understanding of the picture here. It was a kind of a part of a meeting that had some heated discussions, we'll say. And I think it's important that we brought this back here. I think it's not just an opportunity for us to sort of look at the past and think about how we can make things better. And the letter does have a request in it. It says it's just requesting any comments you have on behalf of your communities on the proposed name change. And I'm just curious from the committee here, whether, folks do support this name change, or could we consider, having, a variety of comments passed on to the province where, one director may not have a comment, another director may support it, just to kind of give an indication of where the full board sits at, rather than a sort of yes or no. But either way, I think it's worth bringing back to the board for a further discussion.
Thank you, Director Vanesh. Director Dahl.
I think the only question for this committee is whether we're going to support option A or option B. So we're not going to be writing a letter to support this. We're not voting on whether we support the name change. We're voting on whether this committee recommends to the board that we reconsider the decision that was already made. It's fairly simple.
Yeah.
As far as me, I would like to read what the Hamalco have to say, which they haven't given to us yet. But based on what I have read, I would be in favor of the name change. It would make total sense that the name Murderers Bar is not appropriate after the chiefs that were killed there were exonerated. So it would seem to me that Warriors Bar would be a more appropriate name to reflect that, but that's not my decision. It's our decision to decide if it goes back to the board for reconsideration or not. And like I said, I would like to see what Hamalco has to say.
Thank you, Director Dahl. And I noted in the report, I felt the same way, that I think that it would be really important to understand what the Hamalco have to say. And in the report, it indicates that ASLI has reached out to the Hamalco Nation and that they are bringing it to their chief and council for discussion. And the report actually says that the nation anticipates submitting their comments to the SRD before our July deadline. And I think, am I reading that correctly, ASLI? Because it says before the July deadline, and we had asked for an extension to July 11th. So I'm thinking that maybe that is the same thing that we're discussing.
That is correct. So I have reached out to the Hamalco First Nation. They have a deadline to comment on this of August. Having said that, our comments will not make it to the board and back in time, but that doesn't mean that we potentially can't have an additional extension because of that additional deadline for Hamalco. I can reach out. Not making any promises, but I can reach out to the individual at the province to ensure that it can reach the board and that we can make comment, even if it does go past the July 11th.
Okay.
What I'm saying is I certainly can try to make sure those comments are in.
Okay. So, yep, Director Dahl, go ahead.
Do we have any idea when the next band council meeting would be that they may be discussing this?
It is this month. Which date exactly? I'm not sure. I have a pretty good relationship with their referrals coordinator, so I can reach out after what I anticipate happening here, and then going to the board.
Well, my question to staff is, if we refer this back to the board, for instance, if we used option A, that the committee recommend the board reconsider its position, could we move option A and ask that come back with the correspondence from the Hamalco Nation at the same time, so that there's more context for the board to consider?
Yeah, if we had that, we certainly can. Like if it's available by June 24th. Yeah. If it's available, the answer is yes.
Okay. Or if it was to be coming in July, then we could maybe bring it to the July meeting instead. Would it make sense to move it, recommend the board reconsider in connection with the correspondence from Hamalco Nation?
Yeah, and when we have that correspondence, we'll just bring it to the next available meeting, so either June or July.
Right. Okay. Oh, and look at that, there's Director Colburn. Are there any further questions or comments? Seeing none, I would, yes, we're going to ask if anyone is opposed to receipt. And seeing none, receipt passes. And Director Dahl, you have a subsequent.
I'll move that the committee recommend that the board reconsider its position and support the proposed name changes from Murderers Bar to Warriors Bar, and it be brought back to the next board meeting, hopefully with correspondence from Hamalco.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Director Vanesh. Any further questions or comments on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, that passes unanimously. All right, staff report number 3, topics for 2025 UBCM meeting requests. Motion for receipt, please.
Move receipt.
Thank you, Director Vanesh.
Second.
Thank you, Director Colburn.
So, Madam Chair, this is similar to a report to the board on UBCM meeting requests. So staff have a few in hand, for example, that relate to First Nations relations. So we're going to advocate for more funding programs to support First Nations related issues and items that we're required to do, and support the province in their new legislation. So I just wanted to bring this forward to if the committee had any ideas, topics that was top of mind with them that they would like us to include in our June meeting of the board. We're going to consolidate all the topics, the ministers, and a quick synopsis of the meeting, and bring it to the board for their approval and comment, as we need to supply this to the province by the end of the month. So if there's anything specific First Nations relations, First Nations that the committee wants a topic and some background created on, now's the time.
Thank you. All right, looking out into the digital crowd, and I see Director Colburn has her hand up. Go ahead.
I'm wondering how appropriate it is for a request for the reinvestment of Island Coastal Economic Trust to come to the board from this committee. Because of their inclusivity and want to share in a co-governance model, I think that ICE-T is making big headway in this, and though I know it is a board and chair, committee, I'm wondering if that might. I know that reinvestment in economic development and their kind of co-governance, kind of the way that they're moving, what they're trying to move towards, it might be relevant to this committee. So I don't know if anyone else has anything to add to that, but that might be something that this committee could recommend to board that would also help the more fulsome discussions about the reinvestment, so that economic development opportunities can continue from that trust in our area.
I think that's a good topic. One thing the province tends to do is with ministers, if you're not specific or the topic isn't specific to that, they kind of kick you over and you end up with staff on that. So with ICE-T, I think it's a good topic, but I personally wouldn't include it with with MER, which is, I'm assuming, is the Minister for First Nations that we'd be dealing with, as they look for easy answers to kick you out and to staff. So I'll certainly put that on the list for ministers meeting. I think that might be a JEDI meeting, and just in fear that if we put it under First Nations, they might kick us out to staff instead of the minister. It's an easy answer for them.
Go ahead, Director Colburn.
If I can further to that, everything is connected, right? And so it's a shame that that's how that works, because really this is a multi-ministerial kind of process again that would take kind of all hands coming to the deck to help further that. And so it would be great if someone from that ministry were also talking into the premier's ear about it, right? So we could kind of get at but I understand that for sure. So that's just my suggestion, is to bring that to the board. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good one if I can too. And if what I'll make sure we do, because we'll have staff meetings, those are much easier to get, is that with MER we make that a topic for staff too, though.
Thank you for that, Director Colburn and Director Dahl.
I'm wondering, Asley, if we've reached out to the bands in the district and seen if they have anything that they would specifically, other than item 2, like us to be working on, so that we could use that as the ministers that we try to meet with. And if there would be any interest in chiefs or specific band members that would like to join with the SRD when we go to do our ministers' meetings at UBCM. The city's been doing it for the last couple of years. We've had Chief Roberts, Chief Shakite, Jason Wilson, all attending our meetings. I think Jason's made every meeting. Ronnie and Chris have made different meetings, but it's been, I think, more productive having them with us.
I think that's an excellent idea. Because of timelines, I think we'll leave that to Asley to reach out to them between now and the board meeting, see if we can get topics, and at the same time invite them, because I think that's an excellent idea.
Awesome. Are there any further ideas for this list, or questions or comments from directors online? It's very reflective on the screen. It's hard to see you guys' faces. Okay, I don't see any. So do we need to make a motion for? Yes, we are still on receipt. Are we going to need a motion for those ideas?
No, I think we've got them written down, and we're good there. We're going to compile these together and bring it to the meeting at the end of June, the board meeting, and then the board can edit, modify, change, delete, do anything they want. It's better for us to have more items on there than less, so we'll put all these together and bring it to the meeting at the end of the month.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, I have one more thing.
Great, go ahead, Director Vanash.
Just a thought, having worked with First Nations all over Canada a lot, I think we could all recognize in the room, there's a lot of sort of past hurt between a lot of different First Nations. And I'm wondering, it seems like there's an opportunity for the government to support First Nations to come together to sort of reconcile things between themselves. Wondering if that, just throwing that out there. I know there's a lot of internal conflict, and it seems like that providing support for that sort of internal reconciliation support is something that other folks think might be useful.
I think that might be something worthwhile introducing to the nation. Certainly when Asley talks to them, that can be something that we can ask them if they have an interest in, for sure. And again, can put that, staff meetings you never get rejected for. So that can be also, if it falls off the end of the table or doesn't make a minister one, that's something we can certainly make a staff meeting on. So I think all ideas are good ideas.
I like that. All ideas are good ideas. Any other ideas out there? Seeing none, we will vote on receipt of the UBCM meeting requests report. All in favor? And any opposed? And, Director Davis, did you just put up your hand to say opposed?
Not at all. No,
Okay.
I was just preparing to move option A.
Okay, perfect. So that's moved. And now we're going to move on to the motion. And So Director Davis is moving option A, that we recommend the
I'll
topics.
second it.
Okay, I think we maybe actually are moving option B, but because we've added to the list with the addition of, but maybe
I'm
we,
sorry, I'll withdraw that and move option B if I may.
oh, and now
yeah.
Director Dahl is putting up his hand. Is that for seconding something? No, it's a comment. Okay,
That doesn't support the discussion we just had.
yes,
can
I'm a
turn the
little
mic on, please?
confused by that because there were
Sorry.
two options there.
We discussed direction to staff to talk to the nations and see what things they would like us to be working or lobbying for them at UBCM on. So we have no list until Asley has done that outreach.
So we kind of got
So it's
both.
like direction to staff, and we said we didn't need a motion for that.
We kind of, my apologies. We kind of got both. So we have in the staff report, we have two topics on there. So that was A, and then our direction to staff was B. If it suits the committee, it's fine with me. We have notes of the things to discuss with the nations. So I'm happy if you move A and direction to staff was the others. At the end of the day, we have a list of things that we can prepare topics and ministers and notes on.
Okay, because there was also Director Colburn's ideas as well that are.
And
included
we
there.
have that, yeah.
Okay, great. So if option A works, then Director Davis, we're going to keep with your option A motion. And I think Director Vanesh, were you seconding that?
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
I'm good with option A.
Okay. Are there any opposed to option A? Seeing none, motion carried. And we have an item of correspondence, Indigenous Economic Summit. Move receipt of the correspondence.
So moved.
Thank you, Director Davis.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Director Colburn. And is there somebody from staff that wants to speak to this item, or?
I'll just kind of, because we discussed it a little bit earlier, just give folks a high level of how these kind of training and conference opportunities work. Throughout the years, the corporate admin staff have gathered a network and cost estimates of things that directors generally go to. That's basically, we add on to those organically throughout the years. And staff individually have training budgets in their department, and they basically pick and choose, looking at what's out there, logistics of it, value that they find in that, and decide whether they want to go or not. So there's an opportunity for an Indigenous Economic Summit coming up here next month. Again, we have budgets, high-level budgets for directors for a variety of things. Sometimes all directors go to certain things, they don't go to other things. Long and the short of it, if there's an interest, there's an opportunity here. If any directors want to go, just let us know. And we're uncertain if a staff member is going to go at this time or not.
Thank you for that. Director Davis, what would you like to contribute?
Well, I know I won't be able to attend personally, but could we ask staff to attend on behalf of ourselves?
Well, that's what we're contemplating again. Whether the logistics work out, we feel there's benefit for us. There's value in it. So I think staff is still uncertain. When I say staff, likely Asley. Just it's on correspondence if a director felt there was some value in themselves going.
I see. So no motion required on our behalf then regarding sending a staff member?
No, it's just correspondence.
Fair enough.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments? Seeing none, all in favor of receipt? Great. Passed unanimously. Thank you very much. And that brings us,
Oh, I see Director Colburn has her hand up.
oh, Director Colburn. Sorry, I missed you. looking at the wrong screen.
I just had
Go ahead.
a question, totally unrelated to anything on this agenda. I'm just wondering because National Aboriginal Day is this month. It's Aboriginal History Month. All those things are happening. I'm just wondering, could we? I don't know that anybody is prepared, or I'm just wondering if you know of various. If we could go around the table because we're all kind of in different areas. If we know of anything that's happening in our areas specifically for celebrations for that. And I'm also, and I don't know if this is the time, I can move it to a different time, it's fine, but it just seems kind of timely because this is the month. And also, if these are things that, if the celebrations that are happening are your municipality led or if the nations are leading it. I was just wondering if we could have a quick little conversation. If not, that's fine. I know time is fine.
I'm open to anyone that wants to contribute to this conversation.
Here in Campbell River, the Liquido Family Life puts on an event every year down at Spirit Square. They have not put out any correspondence yet on that. We do keep an eye on it, and I had anticipated there would be questions about this. However, I will put it on the director's porthole. We can talk to communications, who definitely puts that information on their media platforms. So there will be items coming from the SRD. Am I completely abreast of what's going on in the other jurisdictions? Sometimes I follow different Facebook sites, so I can't comment completely on, but typically things happen. Sometimes they're a little closer to the event. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Azalee. Are there any other contributions to this conversation?
Just maybe mention, Madam Chair, that the board will meet 4 days after the National Indigenous Peoples Day holiday, which will be on the 21st. The board is meeting on the 25th, just for information.
Thank you, Tom. And Director Vanesh, go ahead.
Thank you. My initial idea that came up was canoe journeys, something a lot of First Nations communities along the West Coast participate in. I was thinking that the SRD could sort of, make a financial contribution and grant an aid towards that impacts a lot of the nations, but realize that we're not going to be able to get that done in time. But I think it would be great just to, I don't think we need a motion for this, but for staff to use our social media platforms to celebrate the day and to recognize the nations in our district and the work that we're doing towards truth and reconciliation.
Okay, thank you for that. Are there any further comments on this impromptu item of new business?
Just impromptu. Director Vanesh has inspired me because you talk about the groups or the regional districts' efforts towards truth and reconciliation and what's done. And there's often things that we do that are not physically tangible. And I want to recognize Azalee and Elaine for setting up. We had a C2C forum with the Weebakaya and the Weebakam yesterday. It was a majority day event. It was very well attended. The two chiefs were there. A number of local artists were there to talk about art as it relates to Strathcona Gardens and what the facility is going to look like. It's hard to put on paper, what came out of that, but if you were there, you physically saw and heard the comments made by folks around there. There's such a great appreciation of including the nations and recognizing them and bringing these folks together. And it was a really great day. And we heard a lot of positive feedback, and that's just an effort that the region makes in our work towards reconciliation and partnerships with First Nations that, you can't put on a billboard and you don't write in a staff report, but you're there. And it's a lot of the work that Azalee and Elaine do behind the scenes that goes further into partnerships and working relationships that we build upon with the First Nations that make those things much easier. And that was really a great day with the two nations. Both the chiefs dedicated their day towards it and a number of the members. And I know there was a lot of really kind, heartfelt comments made, and a lot of them were to the SRD and the efforts that we're making and how we've included them throughout the process of the Strathcona Gardens. And so anyways, just want to recognize the staff that do it, but the staff are a reflection of the board and the board's will and direction that they give for us to do that work. So very well received, and that unmeasurably has influence and impact on our relationships with the nations moving forward.
Thank you. That's really great to hear. And question for our corporate officer. Should we have a motion of receipt for that great report, verbal report from our CAO?
It's always appropriate, Madam Chair.
Okay. Well, I'm not in the chair that gets to make the motions of receipt, but somebody else is.
So moved.
Thank you, Director
Second.
Colburn and Director Vanesh.
And with gratitude for the leniency of having the conversation, I just know that this is a really important month and the recognition of that is needed. And so thank you for the latitude of the committee for just, having an impromptu conversation about what may be happening. I haven't heard anything from this local community either, and we don't usually plan. If we would, it would be in partnership, of course, with the nations. So I was just kind of curious about how people handle that. I'm just grateful to hear the information.
Great. Thank you, Director Colburn. Are there any further comments before we vote on receipt of the report from the CAO? Doesn't look like there are. So are there any opposed to receipt of the CAO's verbal report? Seeing none, unanimously carried. And now, Director Davis.
Sorry, back again. Yeah, I just want to make a short, I guess it's a director's report. I may have spoken to this before at the board, but the Mochop-Mushlat First Nation have received funding for reopening the Grease Trail, which is the traditional trade route between Tassus and Port McNeill. And work is going to commence in July. And I believe I will be working on it for the month of July. So I probably won't be available for meetings. So I'll have to send my alternate. So really looking forward to that, being one of the people that's actually advocated for this trail for years and have actually hiked it. So I'm really looking forward to this and to working with Mochop-Mushlat on this project. The other thing is we got Tassus Days coming up on 18th to 20th, and all are welcome. We're again inviting Mochop-Mushlat First Nation to that event. So that's my report.
Thank you,
Is that the
Director Davis.
18th to 20th of June or July?
July, sorry.
Thanks.
That's what I was going to ask too.
Yeah,
So July 18th to 20th?
yeah. And unfortunately, I won't be attending because I'll be working on a trail. So
Okay. Great. Well, I think we should probably move receipt of the Director Davis's report.
Receipt.
Thank you, Director Vanesh, and seconded by Director Dahl. Thank you very much. Any opposed to receipt of Director Davis's report? Seeing none, great. Unanimously received. Director Davis, okay, your hand went down. That's good. Okay, should I have a long pause in case anybody else has something else, or should we move termination?
Move termination.
second.
Thank you, Director Colburn and Director Davis. All right, all in favor? Thank you very much. Meeting terminated. Nice to see you guys.
Thanks all. Forget